of our guiding principles in the actions we're about to take this evening, which are we raising the bar in all of our actions? Are we honoring the past but not living in the past? Are we building positive connections with our community and outside partners? And is the decision-making process building a diverse, equitable, and inclusive community? Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We have a published agenda this evening. Are there any proposed amendments? I would ask that Councilmember Rosapepe, I see your hands raised. Would you like to make
yes, Mayor, thank you. I'd like to propose that we remove off the consent agenda item G, since Councilmember Diener is with us.
Wonderful. Okay. Is there a second to strike that item? I see Councilmember Morrissey raise his hand to second striking item G from the agenda this evening. Would be a motion by Councilmember Rosapepe, second by Councilmember Morrissey. I don't think we need any discussion of that. So all in favor of removing that item, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the item G has been removed. Councilmember Morrissey, do you have something?
Yes, I'd like to motion to remove D and E as items of consent agenda and just put them on business items.
Okay, and since the last business item is C, so they would be moved from consent items D and E to business items D and E. Is there a second to remove those items?
Second.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Morrissey, second by Councilmember Fenton to take items D and E from the consent agenda and move them to business items D and E. All in favor of moving those, please say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we have one passes 6-1. All right, any other modifications to this evening's agenda? Is there a motion to approve? Councilmember Morrissey.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All right, I got a whole bunch of seconds. I think I'll go with Councilmember Morrissey making the motion to approve the amended agenda and a second by Councilmember Rosapepe. All in favor of approving the amended agenda, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Your next agenda has been set for this evening. We are to our citizen comment period. Is there anyone online, Brandy, or in the lobby wishing to address the City Council? I see Kathleen Wilson from the library. That she'd like to address the City Council. So go ahead, Kathleen. If you're.
Now I'll try.
Can you guys hear us?
We're trying to get the microphone to work here in the chambers. You may just have to speak up, Kathleen.
I can hear Brandy.
Okay, hold on.
Brandy's gonna move her.
All right, let's see. Can you hear Kathleen now?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm Kathleen Wilson. I'm the regional manager for the Port Orchard and Manchester libraries of Kitsap Regional Library. And I'm here tonight to officially invite all of you to the celebration of 100 years of library service in Port Orchard. And in September of 1923, a group of citizens stood in front of the council, and I can't even imagine that they could imagine that this is how I would be standing in front of the council 100 years later. But they stood in front of the council and asked to petition that a mill levy be allotted towards library service in the city of Port Orchard. they were denied that mill levy because they were too late to get into the budget for that year. But they persisted and asked if the council, if they could just have a room in the city municipal building, then they would be able to make the library work without any funding for that year. And they were granted that room for a library, and they opened for 3 days at the end of 1923, and then they closed and they opened for the entire year of 1924. And that was the first year that we had library service in the city of Port Orchard. And I'm proud to say at the end of that year, they came back to the council and they were incorporated into the city budget after that time. So that was our first library 100 years ago, and we're still downtown. And we are very excited to celebrate 100 years of service on Friday, September 27th from 6 to 8 at the library right down by the ferry. And I'm going to give these invitations to Brandy, and she'll put them in every box. And this is a public event, so we're inviting all of Port Orchard to attend.
Wonderful, Kathleen. I've already marked it on my calendar. I'm certain you'll see a number of us there that evening. That's pretty exciting. It's been 100 years. Hard to believe.
Nice.
Yes. Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Brandy, is there any, I don't see anybody else in the lobby. Is there anyone online wishing to address the council this evening?
Just a moment and I will double check.
They would use the raise the hand feature, and clerk will bring you into the meeting.
It does not appear that we have anybody wanting to speak under public testimony. We do have a couple presenters for the next item that's there. One other person on there, but they have not raised their hand. So I would assume that there is nobody online wishing to speak.
Right, we'll close the first public comment period and we'll move on to our amended consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Councilmember Rose Pepe?
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Rose Pepe, a second by Councilmember Terneri to approve the amended consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda has been approved. We have a presentation this evening, which is from Kitsap Humane Society, the Director of Animal Control, Chase Conley. So Chase, you want to bring Chase into the meeting, Brandy, and so we can hear from him.
Yes, and I'll also be bringing Jamie in as well. I think they're both going to be presenting tonight. So Chase should be able to speak and Jamie will hear in just a moment.
Hi there, everybody.
Hi,
Can you hear me
Chase.
okay?
Hello.
Yes, we
Hi.
can hear you great.
Wonderful. Yeah, so I am excited to talk about animal control, and just kind of wanted to start off and give a little bit of a brief summary of what we have been doing and what has been happening here for the city of Port Orchard. And it's actually pretty impressive. I'll be sharing some statistics here shortly. But animal control, we still are servicing city of Port Orchard. We are seeing a rising caseload and rising increase of animal-related complaints and animals in the community. So our services have been very, very busy for the city of Port Orchard over the last 4 years, where our contract was originally. We are looking to pursue a 2-year contract and renew every 2 years. The reasons for that is we have been seeing an increase again with the pets in our community, increase in the care that is needed for these animals. A lot of this is likely due to a national animal crisis that we're seeing across the nation. There's a rising pet population that's mainly due to COVID. COVID was a big halt for the animal welfare field because there was a loss of spay-neuter surgeries. So we have an increase of pets within our communities. Animal control, we've been keeping up with that and keeping up with all the complaints that have been coming our way and addressing animal at large issues, animal bites, animal attacks, stray pickups, and all the other things involved, even including animal noise disturbances. I'm going to share my screen right here. and so share some statistics with you all. Let's see. Okay, is everybody able to see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so right here we have some statistics to show. What I'm looking at is for stray animals received in the city of Port Orchard for 2021. We had 65 animals. In 2022, we had 127. And in 2023, we have 119. And then for 2024, up until August 31st, 24th, we're at 79. So when we look at these numbers for stray animals received, we are seeing that really large hike from 2021 to 2022. That is the end of COVID, going back to the new norm, and then all of a sudden this big burst of animals in the community. We're seeing this across all the jurisdictions we serve. So there is a large surplus of animals that are in need of going to the Humane Society for being strays to find new homes, or animals that are needing spay-neuter services, or animals that are needing to be surrendered to the Humane Society because their owners are falling on hard times. These numbers we anticipate to continue to rise because it is going to take a long time to get our pet population in our community back down to a new norm. So we do anticipate for the year 2024 that our numbers will likely fall around that upper 120 to 130 range, similar to 22 and 23. When we look at next, which would be below, would be the cases investigated. That is also increased significantly. When we look at 2021, our cases were 176 for the year. And then we go to 2022, 187, 2023, 230 investigated. And then 2024, 208 cases to date. So we know that we are going to exceed 2023 just with these few months left in the year. This is again as a result of increasing population of residents in our community and the increasing pet population. So these numbers do illustrate the workflow that we've had. It's not anything we haven't seen. We do anticipate it to continue to rise. It shares across the other 5 jurisdictions that we enforce. They are seeing the same need for enforcement and animal control services as well.
See,
Chase?
Councilmember Diener's got his hand raised. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious what you mean by case. Does that include like a neighbor's dog is barking, or could you give us some examples of what you mean by cases?
Yes, absolutely. So cases can involve anything from your neighbor submitting a noise complaint for animal noise disturbances. It could include animal at large issues. So maybe someone has a dog that frequently runs or roams loose. It could even involve, let's say, a dog that is in need of animal control enforcement because the owner is abusing it or it's not receiving proper care. So these are all situations where animal control will go out to residents' properties, talk to them about animal control issues, what's been reported. And then our trained staff go into these cases and seek out enforcement opportunities or community outreach. Sometimes if we're finding something that's more community outreach, maybe a citizen has fallen on hard times and they're in between work, we'll bring pet food out to them. We may even supply them flea medicine if the animal is in need. We find out of the normal opportunities to help the community if it doesn't fully need to be enforcement, because you might run into a situation where the dog is healthy weight, overall healthy condition, but has a really bad flea allergy, and flea allergy medicine is expensive. Flea med is expensive. So we use resources from the Humane Society to support the community through our work. But the cases can really run a gamut from animal noise up to the animal cruelty aspect.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Councilmember Trenary.
Yeah, Mr. Connolly, I was just curious, do your numbers show just domesticated animals, or are there also some numbers in there in regards to deer, wildlife, those type of animals as well?
That's a great question. So our animal control, we only handle domesticated animals and livestock. So these numbers strictly represent domestic animals for City of Port Orchard.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Fenton, do you have a question?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I do. When it comes to the spayed and neuter, is the Humane Society backed up? Is it easy for people to get in and get their animals taken care of?
Well, we do have a new veterinary facility. It is still in the process of kind of figuring out how we're able to work that in for the community. It is in the process of fully opening. Spay neuter services are by appointment. What we're seeing is because there is such a large pet population across Kitsap County, we even have residents outside of Kitsap County trying to get in for spay neuter services. So we are really limited to how much we can provide due to capacity of staffing levels for the spay neuter. So we try to trickle them in for the community and treat everything as a priority. But we do look at, okay, maybe this community a member has 5 community cats they need to do spay neuter on, so they don't have an increased pet population. So we'll trickle those in with maybe some low cost spay neuters as well. We try to cap it off at a certain amount so we know we're not over our capacity of what we can take on.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, I just want to quickly just add, if that's okay. Sorry, I'm Jamie Nakula, and I'm one of the co-executive directors at the Kitsap Humane Society. I just wanted to speak to your question, Heidi, around access to spay and neuter. Chase touched on this briefly at the beginning of his presentation about the long-term effects of COVID and how it is bogging shelters down across the nation. There was a statistic that was just released in our industry that the lack of access to spay and neuter set animal welfare back 40 years. So we have resourced our organization more today than we ever have as far as staffing power and volunteer power to help meet the demand. And we are still trying to get ahead of the curve. So the last time we would have presented to the city of Port Orchard, because it's a 4-year contract, we've now resourced 2 additional animal control officers and 2 additional veterinarians full-time on staff to help address the emergent needs in our local community as a response to what we're feeling currently from COVID. So even though things are opening up and seemingly normal, not only are we seeing that backlog of access to care, we are also seeing a larger population of dogs, particularly that weren't socialized during isolation. So they have more behavior, more nuances. So as Chase mentioned, the increase in case calls that we're getting and the frequency of strays is only increasing because people have a population of dogs they don't know how to control. And so we're really feeling the pressure here at the shelter. And, we're not unique. This is a national crisis that's happening in animal welfare and sheltering that we can hardly keep up with the demand.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for letting me interject. I usually just let Chase do his thing, but I felt that I wanted to provide a little more context and also formally introduce myself as one of the new executive directors.
Thanks.
Councilmember Chang?
Yes, can you tell me more about what a resident can expect when they call in a complaint? I suppose it depends on the type of complaint, but let's say there's a stray dog or there's a case of animal cruelty. How soon could someone expect to hear from an officer? I know that sometimes when you call, there may not be a human to talk to. So what should we tell people to expect in terms of when they can expect to hear from a member of an officer or an investigator?
Yes, absolutely. So our animal control officers are dispatched through 911 services 24/7, but during the normal business hours of 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., animal control can be reached 7 days a week for any animal control issue. So animal control, once the call is made into 911, we receive that from the reporting party and we would connect with them shortly after the call is made. And go over what their concern is about. If it were something as let's say, animal noise complaint, we would call the resident wanting to report something about animal noise disturbances, go over what their opportunities are and what the enforcement is for the city of Port Orchard and talk about how that enforcement is issued. We would then provide written documents, which are called barking ledgers, to submit their complaints. So there's a very thorough conversation that happens from the time the call is made and connected to animal control and to the end of the complaint. Things that are more, say, kind of harsh in a situation, let's say someone was attacked by a dog, those contacts are almost immediate after the call is made to 911. It might even, if it's still in progress, have a response from animal control. Depending on where we're coming from, we could be coming from Bainbridge Island or the city of Gig Harbor. We cover a very large span. So there might be a little bit of a delayed ETA depending on where we're coming from. But in progress attacks will always have an in-person contact and follow up throughout the investigation with both the reporting party and the subject pet owner who might be at fault.
I'm sorry, did you say you handle Gig Harbor?
We do. We handle the city of Gig Harbor as well.
They don't have their own?
It's actually a very interesting split. So city of Gig Harbor, the unincorporated, is through Pierce County Animal Control, and our animal control handles the city limits of Gig Harbor.
Wow. Thank you.
Councilmember Diener?
Chase, want to make sure I understand. If I see a stray or my neighbor's dog is barking incessantly, I'm to call 911 for that?
That is correct. So animal control
Okay.
is dispatched through 911 services. What I always tell the community, because there is a little bit of confusion with that, is we are limited commission. So we are sworn in through superior courts and carry a limited commission as law enforcement. So there are risks and safety concerns, and 911 is a very crucial mechanism for our safety. And it also keeps the community in direct contact with us for their concerns.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I wasn't sure that calls rose to that level, but that's an important distinction to make. Thank you.
All right. Chase, you have more to your presentation or
I do.
Okay.
I have a second page here, and it's important, but it also is just kind of information to share. It's infractions issued is the first thing I want to talk about. In 2021, we issued 2 infractions, which was very minimal. But as you can see, as we progress over the years, 2022, it went up to 3. And then 2023, it went up to 16. In 2024, we're at 12. We anticipate to probably meet or beat 2023's numbers for infractions issued. These are tickets that we're issuing to the municipal courts to be processed through the mail for animal violations that may be animal noise, animal at large, animals chasing vehicles, and animal bites. So these are municipal fines that animal control is citing for. The numbers, again, correlate with the increased caseload because we're having more animals in our community, more residents moving in, that we're having more animal control issues occur. So just kind of want to show that just as another way to correlate these numbers. Any questions possibly on infractions or anything?
Councilmember Diener?
Yeah, going back to calling 911, I know that I've heard from neighbors who don't want to call out their neighbor or their neighbor's dog. And so they don't make that uncomfortable call. But can those calls be received anonymously?
A person, yeah. So a person can still call 911 anonymously and report that there's an animal control issue. Additionally, they can go to our website under the resources tab and see the animal control section, and you can email the Humane Society. You can also call us as well. We have a direct office extension, which is extension number 1208 of our phone.
Okay.
So we
And
have
go ahead.
multiple opportunities for the community, whether it be 911, email, or even our office line.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, and then the last one is potentially dangerous animals. So a potentially dangerous animal is when animal control deems an animal to be dangerous in the community. It is an animal that poses significant risk and danger. A person in Washington State can still own it, and in the city of Port Orchard still own it if this animal attacked in an extreme nature. We had 1 in 2021, 2 in 2022, but we have been very fortunate in 2023 and 2024 that we have not had any extremely aggressive animals that posed human risk. So I always just like to share this information because while we do have very large numbers of the more municipal fines and infractions issued for violations committed, Port Orchard has been, doing pretty good with the animals overall. And we're seeing that it's a very pet-friendly community. And that's one of the things we advocate is we're happy to see that. So overall, that's my presentation. If there's any questions or anything I could answer further, I'd be happy to take that time.
And Brandy, have we received the draft contract yet? I know that that was in the works a week or so ago when I talked to you.
So we have received the Humane Society's proposal, and I have incorporated it into the budget numbers that were presented to the finance director. And so this is just a formal presentation to back up the numbers that have been presented in the administrative portion of the budget.
Thank you for that, Brandy. Councilmember Chang?
Hi, sorry, one last follow-up question. I'm just wondering how long Gig Harbor has been served and how has that affected service for the rest of Kitsap County?
So I've been with our agency for 14 years as animal control solely, and calls are actually pretty minimal for the city of Gig Harbor. We do not receive that many. It's very infrequent. We're probably talking less than 10 a year. So the impact is pretty minimal.
Councilmember Morrissey?
Yeah, well, I've just follow-up question to that. What do you think the difference is? Because Port Orchard and Gig Harbor, I believe Gig Harbor is actually larger population-wise than Port Orchard now.
It's not. They're smaller than us.
Is it now? Okay, well, the actual city still is?
Mhm.
Okay, but it can't be too far a difference. Those numbers to your 10 versus our 200 some, what are they doing differently?
Well, so I think because the city limits over there are a little bit different, I don't think that my personal thought is I don't think they have as much of a military community in transition and booming housing population as we're seeing here in Kitsap County. So I think what we're seeing is transition in our own community, growing population, more housing going in, more desire to move to the area of Port Orchard. I've been a resident all my life, and I won't deny it's been on my radar to move to Port Orchard as well. So I think that's what's happening is people are seeing Port Orchard as a great place to live.
All right, Councilmember Warden, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for both of you guys for coming out today. I really appreciate it. Kind of what Scott was hitting on about the 911. There is a non-emergency number that people could call for stray animals that are not aggressive, but things like barking, things that are annoying. Don't you think we should publicize that number versus 911?
So my typical experience is for 911, they do transfer someone calls in, they say, I have an animal control issue. It will go to the non-emergent line. So they kick it off the hotline for all calls coming in. And then it goes to the other section where it's a lower priority. A dispatcher will type it up and then send it through our 911 computer to us. We track all our calls through 911. So it is crucial for us as well for reporting purposes and documentation. So we do prefer to continue to use 911.
So you encourage the citizens to call 911 versus the non-emergency number?
Yes, I do. And that's because if we're in the area, we might be able to swing by and pick up that animal if we're passing through. Because if it went to our, for example, if it went to our phone operating system for the Humane Society, I would not be able to see that same day until the end of the day, probably. The non-emergent has been used. I think we've been with 911 service for 14 years or 15 years, and we haven't had any issues with receiving calls or people having issues getting information over, at least that I've heard.
Sure. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Chase. That fills in some gaps for me as well on how that number is used. Appreciate that clarification.
All right, any last questions for Chase?
Thank you for all you guys do. I know it can be a tough assignment at times.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both.
Yeah, thank you for allowing us an opportunity to share a little bit about the work we're doing.
Mhm.
All right, we'll be in touch as we work through our budget process.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, moving back to our agenda. We don't have any public hearings scheduled for this evening, and we've got 5 business items. So the first of which is item A, adoption of a resolution authorizing the purchase of a generator for the Melcher Pump Station Rehabilitation Project. I see Chris Hammer, our city engineer, has joined us tonight since Dennis has gone at a conference. So Chris, this is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. So the city has identified necessary improvements to the Melcher station, pump station, which is currently the only booster station between our 260 zone and our 390 pressure zone. And it's past its useful life and in need of rehabilitation. Replacing the components of the pump station will extend the useful life for 50 years. Accordingly, on October 12, 2021, the Port Orchard City Council adopted a Washington State Public Works Board fund loan to fund the Melcher pump station rehabilitation. One of the necessary upgrades in the project is the replacement of the generator to keep the facility operational in the event of a power outage. The generator must meet the design specifications for the project and the city's design standards and specifications for construction. As part of the project's development, the City Public Works Department determined that a Cummins generator would best serve the Melcher pump station due to the necessary integration with existing components. Due to the current supply chain issues, the approximate lead time to receive this generator is around 37 weeks. Construction for this project is expected to be advertised in the fall. To avoid delays during construction of the project, the generator needs to be purchased now, and the project can include the installation. Note that the costs of the generator are part of the aggregate cost of the project for purposes of compliance with RCW 35.23.352. The city has an interlocal agreement with purchasing cooperative Sourcewell, which allows the city to utilize contracts procured by Sourcewell for its services and purchases, so long as the city confirms the contract complies with applicable statutory procurement requirements for the purchase or service per RCW 39.34.030. Consistent with contract 7514 and the city's procurement procedure policies adopted by Resolution 7223, as amended, Public Works staff identified Cummins Incorporated as the approved vendor for the desired generator, awarding via the Sourcewell contract. Staff reviewed the procurement process utilized by Sourcewell for the Sourcewell contract and confirmed the procurement requirements were met and obtained all necessary documentation from Sourcewell and the vendor regarding the procurement. On August 20th, the Public Works staff requested and received a quote from Cummins Incorporated in the amount of $81,864.71, including shipping and not including tax, for a total price of $89,478.13. On August 26, 2024, the City Public Works Department completed the interlocal agreement purchase checklist for the selected vendor and confirmed the quote was consistent with Sourcewell contract. The city procurement policies require the City Council approval for purchases of over $35,000 and for unbudgeted purchases. The proposed resolution is to provide the City Council approval of the equipment purchase in accordance with the procurement procedures established by the Council.
Councilmember Trenary.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the purchase of a Cummins generator for the Melcher pump station.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Trenary, and I think that second was by Councilmember Diener. And I just want to confirm with our finance director and possibly our attorney. I know Chris shared with me since our agenda was published that we could be sourcing a different generator than the one called out specifically in this, but the dollar amount won't be greater. And I just want to make sure that won't be problematic down the road if we need to be less specific. And the motion was definitely generic, but the staff report isn't. Did I miss?
Yeah, that it's the same generator. It's just that the tank size has changed.
Okay.
We had to modify that slightly so it fit within the building. So the price will be a little bit lower than what I just mentioned.
So we would have a lower dollar amount?
Yeah, which doesn't so I think we're fine there. And so it's still a Cummins generator with a lower dollar amount.
It's a not to exceed amount.
Correct.
Yeah. But I don't see that our staff report says not to exceed. That's what I'm.
So will it be on the same Sourcewell contract number?
Same Sourcewell purchasing contract, yes.
So based off of how I read the resolution, it doesn't call out in specific, it just calls out that contract.
Yeah. And the motion is definitely fine. I just didn't want to have to bring this back in 2 weeks is my only concern. So sounds like we're fine. Charlie, do you have any concerns?
I have no concerns. The resolution does state in the amount of, but it's clear from the intent of the motion maker that that's seen as a cap. My one question for Chris, just to not to put him on the spot, but I want to be certain that staff reviewed this purchase against the contract that we're piggybacking on, because you're piggybacking on a state contract. So to the extent you're changing the purchase, you need to have also vetted this purchase against that rate sheet. Do you know if that occurred?
I mean, yes. I mean, it's really just some of the description in the same rate sheet was modified, and then the tank size was slightly smaller, but it's really pretty much the same Sourcewell pricing contract, and
it is the same.
Just a slight modification of the one we started with.
The smaller tank is listed on the Sourcewell contract.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Okay, and I apologize for muddying the water. It just the dollar amount was very specific versus an up to. So I just want to.
I want to clarify that I don't think that it's the generator and its components, but I don't think that tanks are specifically listed, but they have options, right? But it's all covered under the Sourcewell.
On the Sourcewell. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you for that clarification. Councilmember Rosapepe?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I believe we're good as long as Charlie mentioned, that everything is covered in the contract. I'm comfortable with this, and obviously it's a need that we have. Also, a point of order, I would request that my fellow council members wait till the mayor calls upon you raising your hand instead of jumping in, please. Thank you.
Councilmember Trenary.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we have our place in order line. We talked about 37 weeks. Will changing this tank capacity change our outlook for when we can see this pump come in? That's a concern I do have.
Yeah. Well, if we got the tank, the pump with the wrong size tank, it wouldn't fit in the building, and we'd have much bigger issues. So that's why, and that's why we're doing this purchase separate, is to get this thing going. So
yeah, the quote was finalized a couple of days ago, the revised one, and I'm now showing 32 to 33 weeks is what they say currently. So I think we're good.
Councilmember Morrissey.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a question because it's a substantial generator. I worked on a generator project on the side of the house that I didn't move forward with, but it definitely didn't come with a $90,000 price tag. So what can you tell me about why that? Because then I start looking and Googling some of the numbers and stuff in the staff report. There are very expensive generators on the market. I've never seen 100,000, and some of them were much higher than the 90. Tell me about the differences and what makes this so much more expensive in a nutshell.
Yeah. So if you look at your home power generator, you're looking at 120 volt or less type of generator for up to 50 amps. And this one is rated for considerably higher. It's a 230 kilowatt generator with much higher amperage. And it's comparably in size. I mean, when you can wheel around on a cart, and the other was, it's got to be in place. It's a very heavy object.
And we need that kind of power for the pumps is what I'm trying to get at, right? Like
we do. Yeah. It's just a different animal.
It's a big pump that's moving water from one side of the city to the other. All right. Any last questions? And I apologize for muddying the water. I just didn't want to bring it back in 2 weeks. So, Councilmember Warden.
Yeah. Thanks. Just to, I guess, piggyback off what Morrissey said, our SAC meeting today, with West Sound, I asked them, I said, blindly, a typical lift station, what do you think a generator would cost? And he said, probably about $90,000. I said, bingo. So yeah, they knew spot on what those generators are running. And they also said the time frame as well about how long it takes to get one. So must be market rate. Pretty common thing right now. So that's it.
All right, fair enough. Any last questions? You'll be voting on the adoption of a resolution authorizing the purchase of a generator for the Melcher Pump Station Rehabilitation Project. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. We're to item B, approval of a contract amendment number 1 to contract number C032-24 with Kitsap County for traffic control devices. Mr. Hammer, this is you again.
All right, thank you. The city of Port Orchard owns and operates electric streetlights, streetlight systems, traffic signals, traffic control devices, and flashers situated within the city of Port Orchard. These require specialized repair and maintenance. Kitsap County has personnel skilled in maintaining this equipment, while the city does not. On March 12, 2024, the City Council approved interlocal agreement number 32-24 with Kitsap County for these services. The agreement continues this longstanding cooperation between the parties, whereby the county provides maintenance services for the city's equipment. After implementation, the city and county discovered 2 errors in the agreement requiring correction. Thus, the amendment makes technical updates to the agreement, as it's the per signal rate specified in the agreement to reflect the negotiated rate, and the updated Schedule B attached to capture the city's traffic control devices, solar-powered radar signs, flashers, and rectangular rapid flashing beacons currently being serviced by the county. Staff recommends that the council authorize the mayor to execute amendment number 1 to the interlocal agreement with Kitsap County Public Works for signal, street lights, repair, and maintenance.
Councilmember Warden.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the mayor to execute amendment number 1 to interlocal agreement number 03224 with Kitsap County Public Works for traffic, signal, street lights repair, and maintenance in a form approved by the city attorney.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Warden, second by Councilmember Teener. Do you have any questions of Mr. Hammer? This is just an opportunity to cooperate with another local government that has specialized equipment that we don't own, and specialized staff. So, Councilmember Rosepepe.
Thank you, Mayor. Just looking at this, fully supportive of it, but it's again a good reason that we're going to roundabouts whenever possible, because of the continued cost throughout the years for traffic control updates and maintenance. So I'm definitely voting for this, but also hoping that down the road we'll be less and less reliant on it. Thank you.
Councilmember Morrissey.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's 2 quick things. One is completely squirreled here, but this is my opportunity because when I was reviewing the packet ahead of time, that I really came to realize I didn't have links. So thank you, Ms. Wallace, for sending that out prior to our meeting with the agenda. It very much helps. I would be ashamed to tell you how much time it took me to get through this agenda. Number 2, I think it was eye-opening for me in some of the supporting documentation for this particular one. I'm all in support of it, but just I counted more street stoplights than were on the list, and then discussion amongst my household made me realize some of those are probably state-owned and already contracted with the county through the state. So do we have lists of things like that around yet, or
I can answer that. So the county maintains most of our lights, but the lights at the Lowe's light is actually next to the interchange. And so we have the the state maintain that one because it's important that they're synchronized together. And if we had the county maintaining one and the state maintaining the one that's not very far away, they wouldn't work in synchro. They wouldn't be synchronized properly. It would be difficult to get them to work together, even, and which is very important for that section of roadway. So that's the only one that I'm familiar of that the county doesn't maintain. The rest of those along Sedgwick are the states, while they're in our city, but there is one at Lowe's that the city contracts with the state because of the light right next to it is maintained by the state. We want them to work together. Chris, are there any other base streets of state highways of the state?
Yeah, so we just got into that, and that's where I started realizing, oh yeah, she's not in the room to hear, but yeah, she was right, and proved me wrong on that, and it made me think. But I didn't know if we had other lists of things like that of where we have those types of assets deployed.
John, you should recognize by now she's always right.
I should. You'd think after 20 years.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got the Lowe's light, the Sedgwick and Sydney light, and then the two lights on Bethel. The one at Chris calls it Walbury, the street there going into Walmart, and then the one at Bethel and Lund. Those are our lights, and the county maintains all of them, but the one there at Lowe's. All right, other questions? Now that we've got a roadmap in our head, at least, of where all the traffic lights are. We'll be voting on the approval of a contract with Kitsap County for traffic control devices. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, the contract amendment has been approved. For item C, which is the August 13th City Council meeting minutes, is there a motion to approve those minutes? Go ahead, Councilman Morrissey.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Morrissey, a second by Councilmember Rosa Pepe. Any proposed amendments to those minutes? I believe Councilmember Diener will be recusing himself or abstaining. So all in favor of approving the August 13 minutes, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? And one abstention. All right, we're to the two consent items that are now business items. First of which is item D, adoption of a resolution authorizing the purchase of a public works admin vehicle. Mr. Crocker, I think you're taking this one.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor and Council. The resolution before you, I just want to clarify a couple things before we get started. The two next items, the two resolutions, are to support the purchase of vehicles. Both these vehicles have already been included in budgets. And the reason we bring these resolutions forward is because the procurement policies of the city require that any purchase or contract greater than $35,000 is to be brought specifically before council. So even though it's budgeted, we still have to bring the contract or purchase back to council. That's why you've seen us routinely bring back these type of contracts and purchases. So for this one in particular, the City Council authorized the purchase of this admin vehicle for the Public Works Department through Budget Ordinance 1224. The Public Works Department has a need for additional vehicles to support their admin inspection team. And this really came to light after the reorganizational structure, and we had some promotions and restructuring in the Public Works Department. We added some administrative positions that did not have vehicles that needed vehicles. By our count right now, I think we have about 11 administrative personnel and only 4 vehicles. So that restrains them from being able to go out and do inspections and work across from the shop to home base at City Hall. The Public Works Department has followed all procurement policies and are prepared to order the vehicles. And so with that, staff would recommend council approve the resolution before them.
Councilmember Morrissey.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve a resolution authorizing the purchase of a vehicle and associated expenses from Bud Clary Ford Hyundai.
Second.
All right, I got a motion by Councilmember Morrissey, a second by Councilmember Trenary. Any questions or Councilmember Morrissey is the motion maker? You may go first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, and I was the one who pulled this off of consent. So I just really more for the public's knowledge to see how the city works. We had a finance meeting earlier today where this actually was explained to me. And one of the reasons I wanted to pull it off was, and for the rest of council to know, under the fiscal impact of this, it says a budget amendment may be required to fund this vehicle. This was already in the budget. I did learn also earlier that that is not coming directly right now today from the finance department, from Director Crocker or anyone on his team. That is the person writing the staff report. So I believe in this case would be Mr. Ryan. So he just didn't know that. So I think they're making some internal changes with the new software that'll fix that. And then I also just kind of want to talk about, for me, it was brought up the ability to talk about, we talk about capacity all the time. And I really just wanted to talk to the directors about, I want to hire people, not buy things. But these are all things that are needed. So I'm in support of it. I just didn't have all that information from the packet. So that's the long story longer of why I pulled this out. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fenton.
Yes, well, on here, when it says the summary and background, it says currently these 5 employees they share 4 vehicles. So you said there's 11 people that share 4 vehicles. So you can, explain that one to me, please.
I think that's the next agenda item. Are you looking at the?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, you did talk about both of them together, and okay, yeah, you can answer that then later. But both of them together, it wasn't quite. It goes beyond the budget. And I'm kind of curious, why are you going for, it probably will be about 50,000 maybe altogether once you do license and insurance and for the cars. And then why aren't we going for a cheaper one? I was looking into, for if you want to do EV, there's like Nissan, oh, the light went out. A Nissan Leaf that's, 29,280. And I feel like the city does pretty good when it comes to doing vehicles for EV. I mean, we just got 4 trucks, and I don't know how many cars we have for EV. And a gas one, you can go all the way down for the cheapest one, about 1,800 or 22,000, and that would save the taxpayer dollars, a significant amount. And so I'm kind of curious, why aren't we going in a cheaper route? And plus, with the gas, you don't have to charge it. I mean, do you charge it during the weekend? Or if someone needs it right away, or when it gets winter out, wouldn't it be better just to hop in? It's just local here that they're driving around. So those are some questions that I had with that.
Crocker, you want to try to?
Yeah, I can certainly. There was a lot of different pieces there.
I know.
So I will kind of parcel out. First of all, 2 different resolutions. The 5 employees was referring to the DCD department to give them 5 vehicles again for their inspection, the different team. Again, all these vehicles have been budgeted. When you talk about EVs in general, there is a policy in the state and a law in the state that we move towards vehicles that are not based on fossil fuels. And the Washington State Legislature has set a target deadline of for model year vehicles of 2030 or later to be sold, purchased, registered in the state of Washington to be electric vehicles. Additionally, RCW 43-19-648 requires all local governments to convert their vehicles to electric or biofuel. So we are following the state law, we are following our budget process, and we are trying to identify low-cost opportunities to invest in our fleet. Now, when you talk about the operational side, EVs are lower cost to operate. They do not electricity does not cost the same as fuel. So we will recognize savings there. EVs in the state have been quoted as saving as much as $1,600 for every 10,000 miles in fuel expenses. There's reduced maintenance costs because electric vehicles just have fewer moving parts than in an internal combustion engine. That means that they require less maintenance. Primarily, they don't need oil changes, brake wear tear. Mainly, on the operational side, it's all about, as the mayor would say, windshield wipers and tires. That's what you're generally replacing with your EV fleet. So there's a lot of environmental benefits. Again, EVs produce zero tailpipe emissions, helping reduce air quality. And that's a big initiative for the city of Port Orchard to provide better air quality for the citizens as well as the state. So I hope I kind of addressed all those questions that you threw out there.
Well, you didn't address why are you getting a $47,000 one when you can get a $29,000 EV car.
Yeah, so we also look at range. We look at practicality. We wanted to get a larger vehicle, an SUV style, for our inspections in the team, so that the vehicles would be larger, could carry more of their gear if they needed to. So that would steer us away from the Nissan Leaf.
Well, you can get an SUV, what was that? Probably in the Nissan Kicks, or there's other ones that, or I don't know, there are electric ones that you don't have to pay $50,000 if you want to go that way. And like I say, I think our city does very well on abiding by the state and how we are implementing the electric cars. And plus we're getting solar panels for this, for City Hall. So I think we follow the regulations pretty well on that. I would like to see how other cities are doing compared to us. But anyway, I just feel like, this is all about our taxpayer dollars. And so I feel like, you could get a cheaper one that's just as good or as big as you want. And it doesn't have to be, basically almost 50,000 maybe it's going to come to, all said and done.
Well, thank you. I believe Noah has answered your questions to the best of his ability. I'm going to go on to Councilmember Rosa Pepe.
And just real quickly, Mayor and Council, fully support this as we move forward with electric vehicles. And also the fact that as we do move forward with, the charging stations that we'll be putting in also, I think that that's going to really help with our response and with charging the vehicles. I know that was a concern of Heidi's. So fully in favor of this, and thank you very much.
Councilmember Chang.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how much cheaper is it for the city to provide vehicles as opposed to reimbursing for mileage? Does anyone reimburse for mileage anymore?
Some staff members, like directors, that don't have a daily need. And there's also from a go ahead, no answer.
Yeah, I was going to say, one reason we don't like that as a city, as an organization, is the liability standpoint, because you got then individuals driving their own vehicles conducting city business. Now, it does happen when they travel and go to conferences and training, those kind of things. So there are reimbursable expenses. People still submit for reimbursable expenses. But on the daily usage, I don't know if staff would be very excited to be required to use their vehicle to perform their work. And so again, we want to best equip our staff.
I think it would also change their insurance if insurance knew that they were using their private vehicle in a professional work capacity.
Yes.
Yep.
The biggest reason is liability on both sides, for the city and for that employee.
Yeah,
so the mileage reimbursement doesn't work for the employee, obviously, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll chime in. I've been the bad actor. I've been the one driving my vehicle everywhere because there haven't been enough vehicles. So as the boss, I let everybody else use the vehicles that's going to the site. And I'm usually driving around to meet with customers or citizens and things like that. It doesn't look the best when you show up in your own vehicle. Well, it does look like we're saving money. They're always asking. It's like, oh, well, we don't have vehicles. It's, we're using your tax dollars wisely.
Councilmember Ward.
Yeah, I'll chime in. My day job as an inspector, I wouldn't want my personal vehicle to look like my work vehicle. It's wear and tear and whatnot, so I get the cost savings for the employer, but for the employee on a daily usage, I wouldn't be a fan of that one.
Councilmember Diener?
I just wanted to say that I support the electrification of our fleet. I think this is good policy that the state has imposed. And so I'm fine with this as well as the next. I'll just note that the county has, I think, going on 2 years ago when the Mach was brand new, purchased those, and they've been very happy with their purchase of the same vehicle here.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Councilmember Fenton?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go on the record. I'm not for this because you could have gotten a way cheaper electric vehicle if that's the way we're going. You don't have to spend $50,000.
Okay, well, we're about to vote and you're entitled to vote how you guys see fit.
So the last comment I'd like to make for the council mayor is just to remind them that we have a fleet standardization policy, and we adopted this several years ago, and we went with Ford as our general standard provider. So we try to stay within that because we have a Ford dealership down the road for maintenance. It's a local business, local community. So that is how our fleet standardization policy is set up.
Thank you. No, that was important.
Councilmember Morrissey?
Yeah, that just jogged another question though, Mr. Crocker. Thank you for that. Because I always want us to spend money with a local business, including our local Ford dealer. I understand procurement policies probably prohibit that. What about service though, right? Just talking about them doing that. Do we have to go get bids for service? How do we choose which service station to use? And that seems counterproductive if we got to do it on one, because we may spend way more money in service than we do actually buying a unit.
These new vehicles are under warranty.
So with the EVs, again, the beauty of the EVs is they have at least a 5-year, 100% warranty. They actually have an 8-year / 100,000-mile warranty on the batteries. And if you look at the mileage on our older vehicles that we're replacing, we're not touching the 100,000 miles. So you're going to be sitting on an 8 to 10 year, 100% warranty covered with our Ford company.
Nice. Okay, so that there's no out of pocket really for that. And what is the average lifespan now that we're talking, if it's 8 to 10 years for this, what is our average lifespan of a vehicle today?
Well, currently, I believe our fleet replacement's at 10 to 12 years, and we'll revisit that again, just like we're going to revisit the police fleets. It also has a little longer tenure, and as we're collecting data and understand our fleet better, we might need to adjust when we replace those type of vehicles.
Okay. Thank you. That was way more than what I intended to learn about all this.
All right. Any last questions? Right, you'll be voting on a resolution authorizing the purchase of a Public Works admin vehicle. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.
All right, the resolution passes 6-1. We are to our last business item, which is former consent item E, is now business item E, adoption of a resolution authorizing the purchase of a community development vehicle. Mr. Crocker, are you going to take this one also?
Yeah, I'll just keep going unless Nick wants to add anything. Again, he currently has 5 employees that share 4 vehicles. This is a replacement, so this is not a new vehicle. This vehicle has been budgeted since the original ordinance 046/2022, and now we've identified a vehicle, and Public Works, DCD, with the assistance of Public Works, have followed all the proper procurement procedures and are ready to order as well. So staff would also recommend approval of this purchase.
Councilmember Morrissey.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve a resolution authorizing the purchase of a vehicle from Bud Clary Ford Hyundai in the amount of $47,036.93.
Second.
That was a motion by Councilmember Morrissey, a second by Councilmember Diener. Mr. Bond, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to correct the record. I sometimes forget that parking was moved into my department, and we actually have 6 employees sharing 5 vehicles, not 5 employees sharing 4 vehicles. And I mischaracterized the purchase as a new vehicle. I forgot that we had cannibalized an old vehicle that has been out of order for a little while now. So it is a replacement vehicle.
All right, any questions? This is basically the same scenario as the other one, just a different department. Councilmember Fenton?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm just curious. So you're going with Ford, but why haven't you guys looked into a EV car that would be $20,000 cheaper on one? You say it's in our budget, but yet we're still gonna be tight in the budget, and we want to do a lot still for the city. And so I'm just curious, you could be saving, you know, $40,000 if you go with a $30,000 car. I'm just curious why you had to pick this one.
Yeah, I think Mr. Crocker addressed that earlier when he stated that not all these vehicles are created equal. The range differs on cars, the size differs on these vehicles, and so we work off the state's contract and purchasing cooperative, and we find vehicles that fit our needs and the range that we need in these vehicles, because we're not going to charge them every day. They're a couple times a week. They end up on the charger. So,
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. I was doing my homework on EV cars today, and
Yeah.
that's why I bring up the price.
Okay.
I would add that the other reason is that our inspectors are driving these vehicles and they're going onto sites that aren't always paved. And so having the all-wheel drive version of the vehicle also with a little bit more ground clearance that comes with the SUV body style just makes it more accessible and less likely that you're going to get stuck in the mud or that you're going to beat up the vehicle.
Councilmember Morrissey, you have a comment?
Yeah, well, I was just going to add to a little bit to your response. I'm in favor of this. Again, more of this was about the exercise of what was in the packet and learning more out of that. I think I don't know how long it's been since you bought a new car, Heidi, but
last year, and
yeah.
it was
Councilmember Fenton, point of order. Councilmember Morrissey has the floor right now.
He asked me a
It's
question.
expensive, right? So mine cost well more than that. There is that. I also didn't realize that these were replacement vehicles. I thought we were adding. So I'm all for moving forward with these.
All right. With that, you'll be voting on the adoption of a resolution authorizing the purchase of a community development vehicle. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.
Right. The resolution passes 6-1. We're going to move on. That was all of our business items. We don't have any discussion items. Let's move on to council committee reports. Let's see here. I'm going to find my list. I don't have it, so I'm going to do it off my head. Finance committee meeting. You met today. Councilmember Trenary, do you want to give us an update on what? There we go. Thank you, Brandy, for putting it on my screen. How about finance?
Yeah, we met today, had a presentation by CDC Director Nick Bond and thorough discussion on the comprehensive plan capital facilities element. We do a periodic review about every 6 to 10 years from the way I see it on all of our capital facilities. For example, administrative and community facilities, public safety like the police, their facilities, public works facilities, and parks facilities. And we had a robust discussion on where we sit now, where we think there are deficiencies, and what we're hoping to put into place in the different upcoming budget years to make the improvements that we see we need based on the growth of our community and requests and requirements of our community. And other than that, we did discuss the EV vehicles things here a little bit as well that we just reviewed. Other than that, that was about it. We're going to have a very intensive month at next in October for reviewing the finance committee and the budget that is coming up. So everybody be prepared for that week of October 15th because we're going to be studying hard and working hard. And if there's anything else that I'm missing there, council members that are on my committee, please chime in.
All right. Thank you for your report. Economic Development Tourism, I don't believe you met because we had the summer break, and I see the next meeting is on October 14th. Utilities was supposed to meet tonight. It's been rescheduled. Does anyone recall Has that date been selected yet, or is that still in the works?
I think we're still in the works. I think the 17th was the one we were looking at,
Okay.
narrowing it down to, but we'll be a little bit more email on that going around, Mayor.
Fair enough. Transportation I see is on September 24th. Land use is tomorrow night. And Mr. Morrissey, have you started your lodging tax process?
We have, and had I had a better day today, I probably would have a date for you for next, because Miss Wallace has reached out for me. I did not respond to her yet, but you will see one by next week.
Wonderful. And I think sewer advisory met this evening. Does anybody have a report on that?
Yes, I have that. It was actually pretty good meeting. We went over numerous mechanical, electronical parts that were budgeted last year to be installed this year, and pretty good surprises. One situation, one part that was budgeted for $200,000 was actually purchased and installed for like $31,000. So huge savings. They found actually a local contractor to do a lot of this new work for them, who has some good connections on things, and they've been saving a lot of money on numerous different parts. October 1st is going to be the budget. So that's the first Tuesday of the month. So we're going to have back-to-back months versus, I don't know, every 3 months we have a meeting. So that'll be October 1st. And then that will be, after it goes through us, it goes in front of their board. And then it goes in front of our council following that. I believe that's going to be towards the end of October. Pretty sure. So that's it.
All right. Thank you for your report. On to the mayor's report. I hope you've seen the emails related to the Kitsap Regional Coordinating Council's legislative reception on December 5th at Kitsap Golf and Country Club. If you'd like to participate in that, please reach out to the clerk's office, and Brandy or Janine will get you registered. I've participated. I was about a 40-member committee for the Association of Washington Cities to establish the association's legislative priorities. There's numerous things on the agenda, but they typically have 3 to 5 top priorities, because you can't try to do everything. You'll probably get nothing accomplished. So I'll share with you these top priorities. Number 1 is fiscal sustainability for cities, and they want to hope to revise the property tax cap and tie it to inflation and a no more than 3% versus the 1% cap we have currently in place. That's been on the table the last few sessions, and AWC is plans to take that on again this year. The second one is public safety, and there's a number of bullets under this related to addressing efforts to prevent and address juvenile crime, to continue 100% state funding for the law enforcement academies, and to continue with the additional academy sites that are out there, and also to provide additional tools or maintaining the tools like the 1/10 or 1% for public safety that some jurisdictions have imposed within their jurisdictions. The next one is infrastructure investment, to advocate for direct and meaningful investments in local infrastructure such as drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater, sustainable state transportation revenue for local government, and also to expand cities' ability and flexibility for REIT. REIT is very restrictive, and how we can spend it. And the AWC would like to see it be less restrictive in the ways that we could spend our REIT funds. And then the last one is, a lot was put into drugs and drug treatment in this last session, and they're wanting to see an investment into behavioral health systems. That's a big need now. Now that we've got some money into drug rehabilitation, mental health is we're seeing as a significant challenge. So let's see here. Today, I had the privilege of visiting the Port Orchard Morning Rotary Club, and I presented a proclamation honoring Dave Selbick for his over 40 years of service to our community. And some of my favorite things to do is to recognize people like Dave Selbick and what he's done for our communities. So just wanted to share that with you. And that ends my mayor's report. I think Chris Hammer, if he's still with us, got some good news today. We've got that multimodal project over there by Cedar Heights Middle School, and we found enough savings in the project and we're going to talk about it tomorrow morning at our managers meeting, that we might, instead of just doing the patches that we've got there, we might be able to afford a complete overlay of that street, which would be fabulous versus having all those trenches that we've cut and patched in there. So more to come on that, but it looks possible and promising that we might be able to do a complete overlay of the street. So, Mr. Morrissey, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to follow up on part of your report being a Port Orchard Rotary member. It was super cool to see you there this morning and have that honor bestowed upon one of our members. I hope you get to do that a lot. And maybe I'm trying to say, like, I'd love to hear more of that in your reports. And maybe we can establish a way for us to send you people to be recognized for things like that. I think we could utilize that in a great way to keep having good people do great things in our community.
Yeah, that's great. I welcome that. Councilmember Diener?
Yeah, hi. And in terms of KRCC's priorities and behavioral health, was there especially mentioned the need for youth outreach and services and opportunities for youth? I think we all know that there's a big need nationally, and it's not being met. So yeah. I'm hopeful that you have talked about that as well.
Yeah, and it was Association of Washington Cities. KRCC with the reception. So, AWC, because the legislative session can be so fluid. And so, yes, the first item I talked about was juvenile detention and resources. And so there is a need there. They tend to be broad in their topics because things can get fluid during the legislative session. And so it prevents us from having to reconvene the committee if things go a different direction than we thought, so yes, that was addressed actually in two different places, one in the juvenile detention part, and then there's also a need for obviously mental health out there too. So but yeah, they tend to be broad in their statements so that whatever bill comes up, or they can jump on or defend against. It allows that without having to reconvene the body, which is a very cumbersome 3-month process we go through.
Okay, well, I'm glad there's some talk about it.
Yep. Let's see here, Director, Mr. Crocker, do you have anything to share? I know you're working hard on the budget.
Yeah, I guess that's there we go. Come on now. There we go. Yeah, just for the full council, we talked a little bit with the Finance Committee where we're at in the process. So we have received all departments. Again, here, let me take a couple steps back. So the Finance Department put out a budget and requested departments to review it and comment and add to the request. So we have received all requests back from departments. We're currently going through the process of reviewing the requests and also added in all other budgetary items like capital projects, debt service payments, those type of things. So what we will have is a balanced mayoral budget by October 1st. From there, we'll bring the budget to the Finance Committee and do a thorough review. We'll bring that into the full council at work study session. Again, do a full thorough review, which will lead us to the October 18th date, where we will have an opportunity in the Finance Committee to talk with directors about items that may not have gotten funded, or even items that did get funded. Perhaps they want to talk more about certain things that they requested and what they're doing in their departments and goals they've kind of set for the biennial period. Once we get through the October dates, we'll bring the resolutions and have some more discussions and hopefully have the budget all wrapped up by early November.
Okay. Thank you, Don. Mr. Bond.
Yeah, I just wanted to share I've mentioned this previously, but KRCC, our regional planning organization within Kitsap County, we have a project where we are working to develop plans for pre-approved accessory dwelling units. And so all 5 jurisdictions, the county plus the 4 cities, we are interviewing consultants this week and looking to select an architect who's going to help us prepare pre-approved plans that will be available for use to anyone within Kitsap County who wishes to build an ADU on their property. And so Councilmember Rosa Pepe, through his role in KRCC, is actually on our interview committee and has been helping with the interviews. We had our first one today, and the rest of them will take place on Thursday. And so in the near future, we should have an announcement to make on who has been hired. And our target is to have complete ADU plans available for public use by next spring. And so it's a pretty quick timetable of developing plans, and at least some of the consultants have already done this type of work where they have pre-approved plans that they've developed for other jurisdictions. And so we're hopeful that there's some efficiencies to be gained and that we can get quite a few plans and make them available to the public. We're looking at both freestanding ADUs that are detached from houses that are just a housing unit, and we are also looking to develop 1 or 2 that would be carriage houses, where it would be an ADU above a garage, so that if you wanted to build a garage in your backyard, you can put an apartment over it, and that would be available to rent out or to use potentially as a vacation rental or for some other use. And all of this is with the aim of expanding the supply of housing in the county.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Bond. Let's see, Deputy Chief Brandon, do you have anything to share from the police department?
Hi, thank you. We just had a new officer graduate from the academy today. It's where the chief is at. He had to go to Spokane. So we sent him to Spokane Academy to help get him in quicker. So we're looking forward to having him back in the area and seeing how those academies teach, or working these satellite academies, which hopefully can get us more officers through quicker. So we're excited about that, and they've just got back from Spokane, so we'll see how things go. But otherwise, we're good to go.
Wonderful.
Mr. Mayor,
go ahead.
I just wanted to share something. The county is working on a derelict vessel program, and they had a meeting, their second meeting a couple weeks ago. And the program includes the cities, ports, state agencies, the tribes, county, obviously. There's a lot of people, but one theme that's come out of that, both of the meetings, is that Port Orchard has been a leader in this area, and they really respect Port Orchard's approach to managing what is really essentially kind of a difficult issue. And Officer Trey Holden has been called out specifically. So I just wanted to share that good news that Port Orchard is being recognized for how it manages derelict, abandoned, or grounded vessels.
Well, thank you for that, Scott. Remember, there was a point in time where we had probably 30 vessels out there in the water, and we had to get fairly aggressive in our how we were dealing with it, and we had to seize a few boats, but many of the others saw the light, and they aren't in Port Orchard anymore. So. All right, Miss Archer, do you have anything?
Thank you. Just very quickly, the council will recall that I had promised a memo on the grants pass decision. I just wanted to update you as to the delay on that. The case has actually continued. This isn't met with any news headlines, but on remand, which means when the Supreme Court issues a decision, the case goes back to the lower level. On remand, the plaintiffs, the homeless advocates, filed a motion that essentially argued the case should remain alive on the basis of an excessive fines argument, as opposed to the argument that the Supreme Court heard, which was the cruel and unusual issue. So the case continued on. The city and the advocacy group reached a settlement wherein the city modified its regulations in accordance with requests from the homeless advocacy group. And then the parties moved to enter a stipulated judgment in that matter to end the case. The court rejected that stipulated judgment and on procedural grounds, but the case remains alive. But that does influence sort of the takeaways from the case insofar as this additional argument is one that is still well alive in the Ninth Circuit. So I will be getting you a memo, and it will address all of the remaining issues that are still percolating in when it comes to regulation of trespassing on public property. So thanks so much.
All right.
I have a quick
Okay.
question just to follow up on that. Will your memo sort of contextualize what our options are available to us as well as breaking down the judgment?
Yes,
Okay.
because there are multiple other cases in the Ninth Circuit. The memo addresses the options available in the state of Washington, which differ than the options available in to cities and other jurisdictions. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hammer, do you have anything? I stole your thunder with the pottery non-motorized project.
No, I appreciate that. And I don't have many opportunities to be in front of council. Normally the director's here. So I appreciate what I heard earlier, the sentiment that we're trying to focus on people rather than things. And I just want to comment that that's been our biggest challenge, I think, in engineering. I'm currently down to 4 of 6 staff members again. And we're just, I'm sorry to reporting bad news, but we have a hard time recruiting engineer and other technical staff and keeping them due to the current marketplace. So just wanted to provide that feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, we currently have authorized 4 engineering positions, and do we have 3 of you? No,
Two
we have
open positions.
we have 3. So you have 1 open position, and we have 1 open inspector position. So we're better off than we were, but I do know that one of our assistant city engineer wife's having a baby in January, so we'll have him in a limited capacity starting the first of the year. So it's important that we get that other position filled as soon as we can. Ms. Wallace?
Good evening, council, mayor. So I have a handful of items to talk to you about, and one of them is I'm going to share my screen here. So the Chimes and Lights event has been renamed, rebranded, and they're still going to keep the downtown trees decorated. And so in the past couple of years, the council has contributed to the cost of decorating a council tree. The funds contributed to that tree is personal, it's not city funds. It's council members put their own cash and pull together to purchase a tree, and wanted to give you guys the opportunity to discuss if you want to do that, as we only have 16 available. So as you can see, the crossed out ones are the ones that have already been spoken for. Janine and I and Port Orchard Bay Street Associations have worked together to get them out and published for the public to buy. And I think we've only been active for about a week, and we've already sold all but 16. So if you guys have an interest, let me know, and let me know which tree you would like.
So Councilmember Rosepepe?
Yes, I can speak for myself. I'll be more than glad to help fund the tree. I know that the decorations are with Eric, and be more than glad to get you that money and then collect from my fellow council members if they choose to. So I can get that to you probably tomorrow, Brandy.
Okay, I'll formalize it in an email to everybody so everybody knows what their portion is and where the money needs to come from and where it's going to and the purpose of it. So, and then I just need you guys to coordinate what tree number you want, and I'll email that as well.
Maybe they want to pick that tree number right now. And save
Yeah,
any-
let's do that. 11 or 12 have good exposure.
I agree.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so number 11 or 12. All right.
Well, that doesn't do it. Is it 11 or is it 12?
Which one?
Go to 11.
11.
12, whatever. Yeah.
Numbers.
Okay, I heard more 11s than 12s. So,
All right.
Councilor Chang?
Yeah, I just would like to encourage council to have a really nice tree with, an interesting decoration. So
You can help me, Fred. Fred, you can help me decorate it.
better than we've done in the past.
Let's go.
Sounds like you got voluntold, Fred.
We'll take care of it, Fred.
Complain
You and
about
I.
the tree, you have to help make the problem go away.
I'd like to help too.
All right.
I'll help, Eric.
Only 3 of you.
Yes, only 3. Okay, so great. That's the fun part. So the other thing that I have for Coffee with the Council, October 5th, I have Councilmember Warden, Diener, and Trineri. So October is taken care of, but nothing or no one signed up for November 2nd or December 7th. So if you guys want to sign up for those, send me or Janine an email and we'll get you registered.
I see hands raised here. Councilmember Rose Pepe.
Yeah, I'm more than glad to go with the November one right now. Work has taken me away from the other ones I've signed up for, but right now it sounds good.
Okay, Councilmember Morrissey.
Yeah, I was gonna second. I know there's no way I can probably do the 7th, but I can probably do November.
Got 2 on November so far. Councilmember Warden.
Yeah, I'll fill that November one. December 3rd, I'm getting a new hip, so I probably won't make the 7th in December. So I'll do November.
All right.
If I'll do November if nobody else wants to, because I do a lot of them. So if somebody else wants to, I have no problem stepping aside.
Isn't that also chimes? I know it's not called Chimes and Lights. But isn't
December
that-
7th, yes.
At 3 p.m.
Yeah, should we do something special? I mean, I plan on being around later. That's what I'm trying to say. I can't do everything all day because I have to work on a Saturday, but maybe we should look at if we don't have others changing at potential time, just that once. I don't know.
Okay, I'll let you guys work that out amongst yourselves. All right, Brandy, what you got?
All right, now we got the fun out of the way. So I have 2 more things to report. One, state law requires that jurisdictions that spend more than $100,000 on processing public records requests and or managing records are required to report to the state. That was due, I believe, August 15th. It's been submitted. Just kind of give you overall numbers. The city of Port Orchard in 2023 reported over $200,000 for staff time and staff time for processing public records requests and managing our records. We processed 695 public records requests in 2023 and 634 in 2022. So that's very high level. I have a report that I will finalize and get it to the full council for you guys to review. I believe the state also publishes them on the website, not only for our jurisdiction, but all jurisdictions that report. And then lastly, show and tell. So I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to remove that. And we're going to go to the City of Port Orchard's website. A couple of council members and possibly members of the public have looked at our new landing page for council committee meetings and our city council page. So if you have the opportunity to go check it out, please do. I'm going to go to departments and then right here, city council advisory meetings documents. Here is upcoming meetings. And if they've already published an agenda or have a packet, we've got those up and ready for you. And then if you scroll down here, still work in progress, but you can drop down and see all of the council packets for this year. And then we're starting on last year. Because the system isn't the same as our recording, we are going, once an agenda is finalized and the council has met, we will now go back and to the agenda and say to watch the video, click here, and that will actually bring you to that council meeting. So you don't have to go back and go into a different source to find the video. Just pull up the agenda and it'll be there. What else do I want to share with you? Yeah, so they're listed here. It's a work in progress. We're still working on the feature. So the goal is that if anybody wanted to search Melcher Street, you can put that in there and it's supposed to give you the links to where either committee or council packets discussed Melcher. So again, that we're working on that. Tonight's packet, you can click on that. Here's all of the pages here. As previously published in the packet, you would have links or page numbers. With Adobe, you can, I know it's not ideal for people who have smaller screens, but you can come over here to the tab, which is the bookmark tab, and there's the council agenda, item 4C, item 4D, cover page is now your staff report. I can click there. I want to go back to the agenda, I click up here. And another feature that we figured out is if you're scrolling down here and you want to get to, let's just go down here, 4E, you can hit your home page and it'll bring you up to the agenda. Or
Home
again,
key, home key
home key, sorry, home key.
on your keyboard.
Yeah, on your keyboard. Or you can use the bookmark over here. So you can scroll through there. So that's just another way to view it if you would like.
All right. Got a
Brandy?
number of hands raised. Go ahead, Councilman Berdiner.
So, Brandy, you said that you go to departments to get here. I have found this, but only by doing the search for government, where we used to have, that used to be our lead in for this. But I just wonder if that's intuitive enough for people to know that if they want to see what's going on with the council, that they click on a department.
Or you can scroll down here and we can make sure that it is put up here. So either popular pages, we can make sure it's, I will double check with Janine. She manages this portion of the website, but we might be able to put it up here in a popular link.
Could we also add a tab that just says government like we had before, or does that break
I
it?
see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could do government and have it back up there.
Yeah, I just as easy as it can be for people is our goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for
Do that.
considering that.
Okay, Councilor Chen.
Brandy, thank you for the walkthrough of the desktop version. Do you know how the progress is going on the smartphone version? Because, yeah, you can't access any of the agenda links from a smartphone.
We have reached out to the vendor and they're looking into it. So hopefully by the next packet process, it'll be up and ready.
And is this part of the website, Brandy, or is this part of the agenda software that's doing this?
It's the agenda part. It's the agenda software iframe, I guess. They use a component of iframe. So unfortunately, it's a vendor issue with the agenda management software, not our website vendor.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
Mhm.
Morrissey.
Yeah, thank you. You have a very nice, well manicured desktop there, Ms. Wallace. But a couple of quick things. Thank you for sharing how to better navigate the packet. The links before were what I was looking for, so I don't even think I would have thought to use those bookmarks over there. So I think that works, but I'm not 100% sure that. Oh, that's the one I want. So now I just found it. Okay. And then the other thing I would ask, in trying to utilize that new software, was trying to, I told myself, you've got to be the dumb one here. I don't understand how to figure this out. Maybe it's because I have to log into the software to pull it out. I tried to reset my password and it wouldn't reset my password. So it said to contact, I'm assuming you're my contact to reset that, because I
Yes.
should have been able to send that to an email, like I clicked that forget password right there, and it did not send me an email, so.
Okay. I will get that sent off to you.
Councilmember Morrissey, and we've talked since this afternoon, Randy and I have, and we're going to create that for the meeting. The links are problematic when they house because the links break. But when in particular, you guys don't have docking stations and multiple monitors likely like staff and I do. And when we get back in the council chambers, when we're working on these smaller screens, it's just difficult to have another pane open on the other side. So I think we're going to be able to send that out to you with those links in it. And it just doesn't work the same as it did before. And that's why that hitting the home key is how you get back. And there's some functionality difference, but it largely will work the same.
Perfect.
Correct. And then what Councilmember Morrissey was alluding to is this is a software program, which is called Legislate, that you have a login and a password for. And this is for the full council, the mayor, and staff members that create agenda items. So they have access to this platform. And again, it has all your council meetings and committee meetings here. And you selected that date, which I got to move this here. So you can select your date and here's the agenda. So it's just another way for you to view the item. So again, here's the adoption of surplus property. You can click on it. Again, the cover page is now the staff report. You click on it, it downloads. You want to go to the next attachment, which is most likely the resolution and so forth. And when you're done with this item here, you just hit the X and then you can go down to the next item. Again, all the source documents are here that's related to that item. If you don't want to fuss with this and you're like, okay, good enough. I just want the packet and I don't want to go to the website. I'm already here. Where do I go? You can go up to the agenda. And again, here's the full agenda. Hit bookmarks. It'll take you to whatever item you want, or you can just download it. It's a PDF document. Download it all that you want and print. So that's another option that the council has to view the packet.
Let's get a couple more questions in. We've got an executive session here planned, and we're probably going to be in that 15 or 20 minutes. So let's try to get this wrapped up. Councilmember Rosepepe.
No, I just wanted to say thank you to Janine and Brandy. I know it's a work in progress, and I appreciate my fellow council members as they come up with comments, especially some of them that are more technologically astute than I am. But I do want to say that in the 7 years I've been on the council that we continue to make progress on our website. And thank you very much.
Councilmember Trenary.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Brandy, for the brief training there. I was going to send you a little note that said basically I missed my back to agenda button, but the bookmark is the fastest way to get back there. So thank you for that little training.
My hope is that between tonight's council meeting, maybe the next 1 or 2 council meetings, that you guys play with this and see how you like it. Change is always hard for some, more than others. And then if it just is not working out, then let us know and we will go to a different option. And we welcome all feedback. So that's what I have to say.
All right. Is that your last item?
Yes.
All right. We going to our second citizen comment period. Brandy, is there anybody in the lobby or online?
There are no members of the public in the audience. There is one person online, and I do not see that their hand is raised at this time.
Okay. I'm going to close the second citizen comment period. We're going to go into an executive session. You guys were emailed a link for that here just before the council meeting. And Ms. Archer, do you want to cite the statutes for that?
Yeah, absolutely. The council will enter executive session pursuant to RCW 4230-110 subpart 1, subpart I, to discuss legal risks of a proposed action when public discussion may have adverse legal or financial consequences. I believe the mayor mentioned 10 minutes for the executive
I
session.
think that's too optimistic. I'm gonna say 15.
15. And I did send that email right before the meeting with a Zoom link. So you'll need to exit the Zoom link and click on that other Zoom link to participate. And there is anticipated to be no action to follow.
That's right. Okay, I'll see you guys on the other side.
See ya.
Hey, Brandy. Oh.
Yes.
Oh,